Trump accused of disgusting greed after earning over $2 billion since return to office. 2 Empire State Building climbers in custody after apparently getting engaged at the top. Transgender people finding it hard to win at U.S. Supreme Court. New Israeli assault in southern Syria forces families to flee their homes. Syria government has condemned overnight Israeli attacks in southern Syria, as residents near the occupied Golan Heights were forced to flee their homes. The Syrian Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Monday firmly condemned the Israeli aggressions, calling them a flagrant violation of Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Recommended stories. List of 3 items. Asterisk list 1 of 3 forever wars. Israel's cycle of conflict shows no finish line. Asterisk list 2 of 3 Iran slams the GCC and the US 4 interventionist statement, what we know. Asterisk list 3 of 3 why the Arab League could not stop Israel's genocide. End of list. The latest attack took place on Sunday in Abdin, a village in western Dira province, where residents attempted to block the advance of an Israeli army unit. Israeli forces then fired shells close to civilian homes, with families fleeing to neighboring villages during the night. Shells then fell near the houses, Mahmoud Muafak, a village notable, told AFP. Israeli forces withdrew, allowing a return to calm and the return of residents on Monday morning, he added. An AFP photographer saw one resident inspecting an unexploded shell close to his home. Growing Israeli attacks. Israel has intensified its attacks and incursions into southern Syria since the fall of Bashar al-Assad's government in late 2024. It has moved troops into the United Nations monitored buffer zone separating Israeli and Syrian forces on the Golan Heights, occupied by Israel since 1967, and deeper inside Syrian territory. Israel has intensified military operations in Dira and Quneitra in recent weeks. The Syrian Sigil Center, which monitors Israeli activity in Syria, recorded nearly 300 operations or violations by Israel in Dira and Quneitra in June, including 107 incursions and raids. Advertisement. Israel said on Sunday that it had killed several armed terrorists a day earlier, without giving a number, specifying the location or any evidence. Get instant alerts and updates based on your interests. Be the first to know when big stories happen. Yes, keep me updated. Israel routinely describes Syrians resisting its occupation as terrorists. Meanwhile, Israeli leaders have openly boasted of their plans to maintain and expand their military occupation beyond the Golan Heights. On Thursday last week, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said Israel intended to keep its troops in the sector it occupies in Syria for an indefinite period, as it has done in Lebanon and Gaza. Israel captured most of the Golan Heights during the 1967 war with several Arab states, before illegally annexing the territory in 1981. The move was rejected by most of the international community. The Israeli assaults in southern Syria are viewed as creating instability in the country, which is still recovering from 13 years of war. Turkey, which is considered close to the current Syrian government, condemned Israel's latest attacks on Monday. We strongly condemn the Israeli attacks on Quneitra and Dira, which violate the territorial integrity, unity, and sovereignty of Syria. These attacks, which trample on the lives and property of the Syrian people and make life for civilians in the region increasingly difficult, constitute a flagrant violation of international law, the Turkish Foreign Ministry said. We reiterate our call to the international community to fulfill its obligations and put an end to these attacks, it added. Psychological toll mounts as Lebanese villages erased by Israel's war. Beirut, Lebanon, in February 2025, Ali stood outside his house in Nakura, in southern Lebanon, and pointed at the crack in the foundation and fruit trees pulled up by the Israeli military. The Israeli military had recently withdrawn from the town as part of a ceasefire agreement, but had left behind detonated homes, a graffiti-laden school, and power lines pulled out of the ground. Ali, an elderly man from the town, said at the time that he would fix it all. Recommended stories. List of 3 items. Asterisk list 1 of 3 will not leave. Is Israel killing the US-Iran MAO by staying in Lebanon? Asterisk list 2 of 3 US-Iran negotiations. What's the latest? Asterisk list 3 of 3 the Lebanon-Israel agreement is paving the way for the next war. End of list. But a little more than a year later, Israel has completely razed the area of Nakura, one of many towns and villages in southern Lebanon that the Israeli military has made completely uninhabitable. Forced to flee when the Israelis invaded again in March, Ali has traded his garden and family home by the sea for a room on a rooftop in the heart of Beirut. Sipping coffee, he lamented. "We had 20 good years," he said, roughly referring to the period between the end of the 2000 Israeli occupation and the start of hostilities on October 8, 2023. For thousands of people like Ali, who are from towns or villages now razed to the ground, the future is unclear. The pain of having lost their homes is devastating, but experts expect an even greater psychological burden should these people eventually return to their villages. When a village is flattened, and even the landmarks around it are gone, people lose more than their homes. They lose the markers that told them where they belonged, and that's part of why we're seeing such deep distress, including in people who have never struggled with their mental health before, Basma Aloush of the International Rescue Committee told Al Jazeera.